Okay, so one of the things I get asked most frequently in the shop at Hockley Airsoft Arena is, do silencers work? Well, the answer is most of them don't do much at all. Some of them will give you a slight change in the note of the sound. They might make it slightly deeper, but as for audible differences, there's not much to discern between one to another. They also have the issue that a lot of the silencers on the market at the moment have got foam internals, and the foam moves about, the foam comes loose, it deteriorates over time, it degrades, turns to dust in the end. So that's an issue, and it's something that obviously people are concerned about. A lot of people, we bring their guns in for servicing, they'll have a silencer on there. You can look in the silencer and there's nothing in the silencer. They've taken the foam out or whatever was in there. So we got approached by Malmr to start stocking their silencers. This is one I've got in my hand, and we were sceptical. So we thought, well, we'll give it a go. We'll have a look. And the first thing we noticed when we picked one up was the weight. They are heavy, much heavier than the standard Chinese type silencers that you get. They've got a nice coating of anodizing on them, so it's not a paint effect or anything. It is anodized, so they're going to be protected for a long time from the elements. And then when you open them up, they've got a lovely thread, right? And Malmr do say themselves not to open these, but obviously for the purpose of this video I want to show you what's inside. So they've got a nice fine thread, fairly substantial end cap, and then inside there's these baffles. Now these baffles are very, very similar to baffles that I've seen in real steel silencers, and the weight is comparable, but unlike the real steel silencers, where there'd be stainless steel or some other metal, these are actually just made of a polymer, but they are substantial. They're extremely strong, so they're gonna stand up to things. But then again, inside the silencer, they're protected, so they should be able to endure for quite some time. So if you're buying one of these silencers, you can be sure that you're going to have something that's going to last you for years, rather than a few months. What we're going to do is we're going to actually, the most important thing, as I say, the thing everyone wants to know is, do these actually reduce the sound level? So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a rifle, we're going to shoot it without a silencer to start with, and then we're going to put this silencer on and see what the difference is in decibels, and then we're going to work out what the difference is in a percentage terms of how much noise is reduced when you're using one of these Malmr silencers. And hopefully that will sort of lay people's fears to rest, that if they're buying one of these silencers, they are actually getting something that not only looks aesthetically pleasing, it does look like a really nice addition to the rifle, but it will also reduce the sound level and make it harder to detect where they're shooting from, which is important when you're out hiding under a bush trying to get that shot. You don't want people to instantly know where your first shot came from. Measuring in decibels is not a linear scale. So on a linear scale, if we started with 1, noise level was 1, and we doubled it, and noise level would now be 2. But because decibels are measured on a logarithmic scale, that's not true. So there's a calculation that has to be made. But in essence, every 3 decibels you get a doubling of sound. So if you had a machine that was running at 60 decibels, and you placed another machine exactly the same next to it, and that was running at 60 decibels, you wouldn't actually get 120 decibels. You'd get 63 decibels. So that 3 decibels extra would represent the doubling. So what we're looking for is to calculate what the impact of the silencer is on that logarithmic scale. So what we will do is we'll put up at the end of the video a sheet which shows the calculation that's been made based on the results that we got from the testing. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try shooting the rifle without the silencer so that we can get a reading from the decibel meter to find out what it is without. And then I'm going to put the silencer on and I'm going to shoot it again. And then that will give us a reading with the silencer, hopefully that's going to be lower. Obviously, this is going to be interpreted by people. People are going to say, "Oh, we cheated. You didn't do it right." We've got a proper decibel meter. Amanda's down at the end of the range with the meter. She's going to be recording those on the mobile phone. She's going to video it with that. So she'll record the figures. She'll also call out what each figure is, so that there's no misinterpretation of the figures we get. And then from that, we can work out whether or not there's been a significant decrease.
83.5.
Okay, well that seems to be fairly conclusive that there was a significant drop. What we'll have to do is take those figures, and then from those figures we'll work out exactly what the percentage drop in sound level was. So, as you can see from the testing that we carried out, there is a significant difference. There's just over a 3 decibel difference between having the silencer and not having the silencer. And as I said at the beginning of the intro, 3 decibels, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it represents a 50%, in fact in this case better than a 50% reduction in noise level. The reason we measured the difference at distance, so the sound meter was actually placed 7 meters away from where the gun was being fired, was so that we picked up solely on the noise of the pellet leaving the gun, or the BB leaving the gun, rather than picking up all the noise that comes from the motor, the gearbox. So we were just interested in the reduction in sound from the muzzle. If you put, obviously, your ear next to the gun and you fire it, as you're firing it, you're not going to detect a massive difference, not a massive change, because what you're actually hearing is the piston thumping backwards and forwards. You're hearing the gearbox cycling, the motor whining. All of that put together is quite loud. Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about that. But that generally doesn't travel that far. What does travel is obviously the pop as it comes out of the gun, and that's what we were measuring. So what we'll do is I'll put up the table of the how that was calculated, how that drop was calculated, and what the actual drop was, and you'll be able to see from there and make a decision on whether or not it's the direction you want to go when you're thinking about a moderator for your gun.